Well, say what you will about Chicago-style pizza, whether it's tavern-style thin or deep dish or stuffed, you cannot argue the iconic brand for the past 5 decades has been Lou Malnati's. It all started here in this parking lot in Lincolnwood, just north of Chicago, on St. Patrick's Day, 1971. That's when a 40-something Lou Malnati and his family welcomed the public to this new style of pizzeria based on that deep dish that was created in the 40s at Pizzeria Uno and Pizzeria Due. Lou worked at both those locations. He opened up here in '71. And we've sadly passed away a couple of years later, but since then his son Marc has been running this business, and I caught up with Marc this week to ask him what it was like 50 years ago this week.
You know, I was 15, and so the thing I was most focused on is I get to bring my friends over to see our new pizza place and try the food. My parents, on the other hand, were scared to death. I mean, is this going to work? You know, my dad had worked downtown his whole career, and now he was in the northern suburbs. You know, were people going to come? You know, he was a great connector, and he knew everybody, and people loved him. You know, I mean, he was a big, gregarious, you know, 6 foot, 240 pounder, and Marine Corps staff sergeant, had a big, you know, bellowing voice. People were lined up out the door, and then they turned the corner and they went through the bushes, around this, down the sidewalk, down into the neighborhood. It was a crazy scene. The day we opened, a customer drives a Cadillac convertible up onto the knee wall and right through the stone, and lands in the lap of a young woman who, you know, wound up with a broken arm. They had to rush her to the hospital. We had a crew of stonemasons out here within an hour. They were putting it back together, so we never had to close. No, day 2 was crazier. It kept building, and now the line was longer. People were getting here earlier. The word started spreading, and it kept going like that for 2 or 3 weeks. The crowd would get bigger and bigger. It's like people had never eaten before.
Before his own place, Lou and his father essentially ran Pizzeria Uno and Due downtown, where they perfected the Chicago deep dish pizza, a fat and rich dough covered by slices of mozzarella, followed by bulk sausage, pinched and pressed with lots of fat and fennel, then a chunky sauce based on California tomatoes, finished with a blend of cheeses, including Pecorino Romano. And
my dad and grandfather came in and ran those stores. From the inception, my grandfather was there, and then my dad came a few years later, and they tweaked and developed, a product that had been given away on the bar to try to attract customers that would come in and have cocktails. They turned into something that there was a big demand for.
The giveaway pizzas Malnati is referring to is our homegrown tavern-style thin, square-cut pies, ubiquitous throughout the city. But he argues that deep dish is just as important to generations of Chicagoans, especially those in the north and northwest suburbs, who may not have grown up with tavern style, but rather his family's recipe.
First of all, I think that there's parts of Chicago that, specifically the South Side, that have been kind of a tavern-style town. But Malnati's has been around for 50 years, and before that, there's another 30 years of deep dish pizza. And I think deep dish pizza was really the pizza that took over the city, took over certainly the north and northwest side.
Lou Malnati passed away just a few years later at the age of 47. His son says if he were alive today, he'd be concerned with only 60 stores open.
No, I think my dad would be really disappointed. We only have 60 locations. I think he thought he was Ray Kroc and he was going to, franchise all across the world.
Now, if you don't live in Chicagoland, where there are dozens of locations, you can have Lou's shipped to you because they are on Goldbelly. If you never tried Lou Malnati's deep dish pizza, you owe it to yourself to at least give it a shot. 50 years, nothing to sneeze at. Congratulations, Lou Malnati family. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time.